If you photograph birds in flight or any fast-moving subjects, you're going to want a dot sight for your camera.
In this video, we'll take a look at some of them, tell you how to use them, and how to set them up. And I'll give you my recommendation.
We're going to look at 3 commercially available dot sights. One from Olympus, one you can assemble yourself from Amazon,
and the dot sighter from Business Card Displays.
Dot sights fit in the flash shoe of your camera, so it doesn't matter what brand of camera you have.
Now, if you don't have time to watch all the video, the short version is the dot sighter is the only one that doesn't have to be calibrated each time you put it on the camera.
Calibrating your dot sight is not difficult, but it is time-consuming. I'd rather be taking pictures. Check the notes for a discount code, and let's get started. Hi, this is Pierstorff. I'm an instructor at the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum Art Institute, and we teach photography and art classes. And today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about photographing flying birds with a dot sight. Capturing flying birds makes some great photos, but man, are they hard to track. Could be something like this, where you've got a sequence of shots. You set the motor on your camera, so it's going click, 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 and you're taking rapid one picture after the other. And as the bird flies, you're able to capture those slices of time as it moves through your viewfinder. In this case, you might be tracking the bird with your camera, so you're moving your camera to follow the bird's movements, and then later on, you can pick the best shots from your sequence and combine them together using Photoshop and maybe drop in a more attractive sky. Or maybe you just want to take one picture of a bird. You want to just very quickly get the camera up to your eye and take a picture before the bird flies off. If you've been taking bird pictures for any length of time at all, you probably have a collection that looks similar to this, where you have part of the bird in the frame and part of the bird out of the frame. So when we're looking through our cameras, we're going to hold the camera up to our eye like this, and we're going to look through the viewfinder. And in so doing, we are going to try to locate where the bird is. We're going to very quickly point at the bird, and if the bird starts to fly, we will track the movement of the bird by moving the camera. And in addition, we might have our motor drive turned on, where we're able to take multiple pictures per second, maybe 3 pictures a second, 5 or even 10 pictures per second. So we're going click, 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 as the camera tracks the bird. Why is it so hard? Well, if we take a look at how the human eye works, you can see we have a field of view of about 180 degrees. So we have a very, very wide field of view, which we can see birds, and we can see which way they're moving. When they fly, we can tell if they fly up, or they fly down, they change direction. Very, very easy to see. But when you're looking at the diagram of the camera, you can see that a telephoto or a zoom lens narrows your field of view by quite a bit. So instead of a 180-degree field of view, now we have only an 8-degree field of view, or maybe a 5-degree field of view in the case of a 500-millimeter lens. Now, of course, if you use a very wide-angle lens, that increases your chances of keeping the bird in the frame, but then your pictures aren't going to be, they're going to be more landscape shots and not really bird photos. So what we're going to do is we're going to use something called the dot sight. And a dot sight is more commonly known in rifles, pistols, firearms, or telescopes. But these adapt to cameras very nicely for our purposes. So how do these work? Well, when you have these installed on your camera, you don't have to look through the viewfinder of your camera anymore. Now you're going to look through the dot sight, which is sitting in the flash shoe of the camera. And then you will see a little red dot in the middle, and then you can use that dot to overlay on top of the moving bird so it stays in the center of your viewfinder. Now the downside to this is it doesn't let you see through the viewfinder, so you don't have any idea where your zoom is at. So you do need to check back and forth periodically to make sure your zoom level is where you expect it to be and that you have enough room so that the bird's wings are not cut off as it's flying around in the center of your frame. This is a laser sight that you're seeing in the illustration here. This is not a dot sight. Dot sights are safe for people and animals. They do not project a laser beam. They have a red LED display that only projects on the viewing glass and the dot sight itself. The bird can't see it. It doesn't project. So dot sights have been around at least since 2016 or so that I'm aware of for camera use. Olympus makes this one. This is the EE-1. So for example, if you have an Olympus camera, you don't have to use the Olympus dot sight. You could use the Nikon one. The difference is they all adapt using the flash shoe. These go into the shoe mount of your camera. So it doesn't matter what kind of camera you have. As long as they have some kind of a shoe mount for you to attach them, you can use any brand on the dot sight. So we're going to take this and we're going to slide this right on to the shoe and lock it on there. And now I have this attached like this. So these are plastic and these are collapsible. I can open this or close it. Okay, so on the controls on this one, we have on the side over here, we have the on-off switch. This turns the red dot on. So 5 is the brightest dot, and then 1 is the dimmest, and then continuing past that is off. You can adjust where the dot appears in the dot sight finder by moving this one to the left or right and this one to the right or left. Now on the Olympus and also the Nikon one, these adjustments, you don't need any tools. You can move these with your thumb or your fingers. And that's a good thing because they'll need to be adjusted every time you take them off the camera and you put them back on. But before I had this tight, you can see there's plenty of movement in the shoe. So in all fairness, it's this mechanism that, that doesn't line up that tight. It's not something that the flash shoe manufacturers or the camera manufacturers, I don't think they ever thought about this as being a receptacle that would need precision alignment each time. Generally, when you put a flash unit on the camera, it doesn't need to be critically aligned. It just needs to kind of face forward, and if it's off a couple degrees one way or the other, it doesn't make any difference. Okay, so when we're looking at dot sights, we basically are talking about these devices, which they're essentially similar to a rifle or a telescope sight. These attach to the top of a rifle by means of a mount system, which is called the Picatinny or Weaver rail. And here we have it attached to a camera. You can see on the right-hand side there, you see there's a 5, there's an R. And so each of the colors, the red or the green, has different brightness levels. Now, these are available from Amazon and also AliExpress and some other online companies. But basically, you need the shoe adapter, which is a shoe to a Picatinny or a shoe to Weaver rail, and you need the dot sight. Amazon has dozens, maybe even hundreds of different dot sights that you can buy to attach to these to this adapter. And now we have this attached, we can slide this onto our camera. And I'm going to just take this and I'm going to slide this onto the shoe. Push this as far forward as I can. Even if we tighten this down, we could tighten it down in this position, but we could also tighten it down in that position. So there's a considerable amount of movement on this one as well as the Olympus. Before we actually get to shooting with the birds, we're going to have to calibrate these. We have the camera on a tripod and we have a target picked out. In this case, we're in the American Southwest here in Tucson, so we're going to use one of our giant columnar cacti, the saguaros, and this one has a woodpecker hole right near the top there, and it's around, in our illustration here, let's say it's about 30 feet away from us. We're going to line this up. We're going to look through the viewfinder, and we're going to adjust the tripod so that that woodpecker hole in the cactus is dead center in our viewfinder. Pretty easy to line up with because usually there's something that lets you know you are at the center of the viewfinder. So we're going to put that in the middle. And then we're going to adjust the dot sight using the two controls that we have, the windage control and the elevation control. And we're going to use a hex wrench with those. We're going to put the wrench in the top here in the elevation control, and we're going to turn it either left or right to bring the dot up or down in our viewfinder. And once we've done that, so here we're going to put this right here in the R, which is our left and right, what they call a windage adjustment. Okay, so now that we know which two parts need adjusting, we're going to try to match our target to the center target, that same woodpecker hole in our cactus. We're going to adjust them so that the green dot in this case, or the red dot, depending on what you have, is right on top of the woodpecker hole, and that also turns out to be the exact center of our viewfinder. And that will bring us calibration. We'll be perfectly calibrated when we put those two together. A couple more adjustments we're going to need before we're ready to shoot. The first one is you're going to make sure your camera is set to continuous focus tracking. Canon calls this AI servo, Sony, Nikon just call it continuous focus tracking. But basically you just want the camera to continue focusing on whatever it sees as long as you hold your finger halfway down on the button. When you continue to press the button down, it should start taking pictures. So the next thing you might want to think about is where to set the focus area. I like to set mine kind of center weighted or center spot, generally because I'm going to try to keep the flying birds near the center of the viewfinder. The next thing is we're going to want to turn our motor drive on the camera. So our camera is going to take multiple pictures. As long as we're holding the shutter button down, it's firing as fast as it can. This is going to depend on your camera and how you have it set, but usually 3 pictures a second, 5 pictures a second, maybe even 10 or faster pictures a second. I would recommend that you use the fastest your camera will go, in that you'll have more pictures to choose from. So let's talk about exposure. Where do we set the camera? We know we're going to set it on a fast motor sequence. So I like to set my camera at a 4,000th of a second, somewhere between f4 or f5.6, depending on the lens. I usually try to make it go pretty wide open if I'm using a 100 to a 400 millimeter telephoto zoom, but you can use whatever you have. And then I set the ISO, or the speed or the sensitivity of the sensor, to automatic, because the priority here is to make sure that you have a fast shutter speed. You're going to need to freeze the bird's wings.
Now there's one we haven't talked about yet, and this is the dot sighter by Business Card Displays. So what's different on this one is the way it attaches to the camera. If you look on the bottom here, you can see that this is the dot sight, and then there is the part that slides into the camera shoe, and then there is this thumb screw anchors this part of the shoe so that it expands and prevents it from twisting or rotating. So all you have to do with this one is you take your camera, you slide this in to the shoe, push this as far forward as it will go, and then you simply tighten this down, tighten the thumb screw, and then it is securely attached to the camera. It's not going to rotate side to side. And then you sight through the red dot sight here in the top. See if I can get this to show up. There it is. Okay. So that's what you're using to track with. Now, this doesn't show you where your zoom level is. So periodically you will have to look back through your viewfinder to see what your zoom level is. But once that's adjusted, then you can just use the dot sight and have both eyes open to track fast-moving subjects and or flying birds. Now then, when you're done for the day, you can turn this off. This just rotates to the R or the G, and that turns it off. And then you can loosen the thumb screw and just pull it right off the shoe, and it's ready to go. The next time you want to attach it, you slide it into the shoe, push forward, tighten the thumb screw, and it comes back to the same calibration that it was. So these are calibrated to the camera. You can change lenses and it doesn't affect the calibration, and the fact that it doesn't rotate means it comes back in the same position each time. So you might calibrate it occasionally, but for the most part, it comes back right where it was the last time.
Dot sights require practice. It's a great tool and they work impressively. Now remember, I mentioned that they don't give you any way to see the corners of your frame. You still have to take your eye away from the dot sight, look through the viewfinder to see what your composition is, what's in the frame. So the dot sight can't help you there. The dot sight is helping you keep whatever you have the dot sight calibrated and pointed at is going to be in the center of your frame. So I'd like to thank you all very much for watching this video today. And if you're thinking about making a special trip to Arizona, be sure to visit us at the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. In fact, it's a great place for photographers and artists of all kinds, particularly when I say photography. If you enjoyed the pictures that I took with the dot sights, all those pictures of those birds were taken here at the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. We have programs for live animals. We have in the fall and winter our Raptor Free Flight presentation, in which we fly untethered birds of the Sonoran Desert that fly all around you. And our Art Institute has photo classes that give you the opportunity to photograph some of our native animals as well, such as rattlesnakes, Gila monsters, as well as flying birds. All right, everybody. I hope that helps. Let me know how you like your new dot sight. Bye now.